Ashley Huff is a 23-year-old woman from the city of Commerce, Georgia, and she went through a massive ordeal that, to me, demonstrates exactly why we need to make some serious changes to the law. So she was the passenger in a car that was pulled over on July 2nd, and police noticed that she had a spoon in her bag that had a little bit of residue on it. Now, the story is already kind of sketchy because if they searched the bag, that search may have violated her protection from unreasonable search and seizure, which is a constitutional right. But nonetheless, the cops assumed that the residue was meth, and they did a field test, and it verified that it indeed was meth. Quote, Huff was jailed for about 2 weeks, then released on earned recognizance. Her attorney, however, said one of the conditions of her release was that she would make a series of court appointments, and after she missed one, she was reincarcerated on August 2nd. Unable to afford to pay bond, Huff stayed behind bars until September 18th, when a lab analysis found that the substance on the spoon contained no illicit substances. So are you ready for this? On the spoon, it was residue from Spaghettios, which she ate. And she said that from the beginning and maintained that. She said, no, you don't understand. I was in a rush. I ate some Spaghettios, and then I threw the can out, but the spoon is mine, so I just put the spoon back in my bag. They were convinced that the Spaghettios was crystal meth. Now, the plot thickens even more because those field tests, the drug field test that they give, where it's like a chemical mix and you put the residue in, and if it turns a certain color, it's whatever specific drug we're talking about, they're wrong all the time. In fact, in the article on this, they reference a situation where once officers were testing for cocaine, and it came back positive, but it turned out it was powdered soap. Okay, that's a big issue. Because, I mean, how many fucking powders are there? If the thing tests positive for powdered soap, what else does it test positive for? Sugar? Flour? I mean, seriously, think about it. What else could it possibly test positive for? Who knows? Maybe every powder. But that's the thing, is these things are inaccurate, but they're using them anyway, and because a woman had Spaghettio residue on a spoon, she spent a month in jail. Quote, even though Huff knew she was innocent, during the weeks she sat in jail, she was strongly considering taking a plea deal and a permanent criminal record just so she could get out. That's stunning. And unfortunately, this stuff happens all the time, where you'll have false confessions which are gotten under duress, where police officers use trickery and deceit to force somebody to do some sort of a confession, and they don't even realize they're doing a confession, and then they throw them in jail, and they use that against them in court. I mean, this kind of stuff happens all the time. But what we're dealing with here is police abuse of authority through and through, because you can't use these tests in the field if they're not accurate. I mean, that's insanity. But look, what's the root of the problem here? The root of the problem is the drug war. Okay, and I understand, man, are there some drugs that genuinely are really bad for your health and can fuck you up in 9,000 different ways? Sure. Crystal meth is one of those. Crocodile is another one. There are some stories about bath salts being insane. So, yeah, there are some drugs that probably are just fucking horrendous for you. But the question is, taking one of those substances, does that merit your ass going to jail? Now, see, to me, when I think of jail, I think of the common sense things you should be in jail for. Did you rape somebody? Is it domestic violence? Did you assault somebody? I mean, what happened here? Murder? I mean, serious violent crimes. That's people belong in jail for those things. No matter what you're putting in your own body, I mean, look, I'll try to stop you from doing crystal meth. I'll try to stop you from doing bath salts. But if you don't listen to me, well, I'm not going to lock you up for it. By the same token, I wouldn't lock somebody up if they're saying, I'm going to drink Clorox. Don't do it. You're going to fucking get sick and have to go to the hospital and you might die. But if they drink the Clorox, am I going to say, now I have to lock you in a jail cell for years? That would be a stupid response. Because they didn't do anything to hurt me. They didn't do anything to hurt anybody. They just hurt themselves. It's the same thing with the drugs. You can't assume that after they take the drugs, they might do something that might hurt somebody else. That's how we're basing our laws nowadays, on something they might do if and when maybe they did something else. I mean, what the fuck is that? That's insanity. But here's the bottom line. If you stop the drug war, at the very least decriminalize, but you really should legalize, okay, you do that so then the cops can focus on actual crimes. And you also make it so that the cops have to wear the cameras on them at all times. I said this before, I'll say it again. Overnight, the police officers across the board would be viewed in so positively. We'd all be singing their praises because, oh, okay, now we see these are heroes. Right now, they're thugs. They're a thug if they come up and arrest some poor kid for smoking some weed. They're a thug if they come up and lock you in jail because there's Spaghettio residue on your spoon and they think it's meth. They're thugs when they do that. They're abusing their authority. But if you take away that authority and they can't arrest people for the drug use, and you make them focus on real crimes, and you make them wear the cameras, everything will work out for the better. Those are the solutions to the problem. But until we go down that road, we're going to keep hearing about cases where people get locked up because they have Spaghettios on their spoon.